All right, everybody, I'm here today with Dave Courvoisier, who is a voice actor, news anchor, social media expert, what else? Blogger and author, owner of Courvo.com. You can find him everywhere. I found a lot of your stuff and your blogs really helpful when I was looking to start my voiceover career in April of this year. So it's really an honor to have you and just to be able to talk with you a little bit. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, a lot of people were really helpful to me when I got started, and I feel like it behooves me to pay it back. So I'm happy to help.
That. And I'm finding that I don't know if it's true with everyone, but everyone I've interacted with so far in the voiceover community, it just seems like everyone's willing to help at any moment. You just have to ask for help, and people are really nice, surprisingly nice.
It's true. I grew up in broadcasting, and that's a dog eat dog world. Where everybody's kind of fighting for the same bone.
Yeah.
And we kind of are in voice acting, but for some reason it doesn't feel like competitive. It feels like helpful, encouraging, supportive. So it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. So with that said, and since you are seemingly everywhere online and doing everything, what's your best advice for building relationships in the voiceover industry, whether it's online or offline?
Well, there's online and offline, and then there's within the community and then outside the community. So let me try to talk about all that.
Yeah.
The voiceover community, as we've already mentioned, is very supportive, and it's very encouraging, and it's pretty tight. I think that's because we all tend to work in isolation in our booths, and we kind of yearn for relationships, and so a lot of that is answered online. It's good to to join those groups and those forums and get some questions answered and get to know people, and that achieves a lot. But I think in the end, a lot of us also yearn for looking the person in the eye, meeting them, shaking their hand, and so conferences are good to go to too. I've been to quite a few of them, and it's very encouraging to be with these people and share the same air. It just is really nice.
Yeah.
Now that's the community within voiceover. To branch out and to gain more clients and more connections, you need to go outside that community as well.
Right.
And that includes producers and anybody who might hire you, but also adjacent professions like audio engineers and demo producers and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So in terms of building a community, you are the president, right, of WOVO, which is World Voices Organization. So how do you think that voice actors can use that community to just build relationships in the voiceover community online?
Every profession reaches a point collectively where there's kind of a crescendo, and you realize that it takes an official organization. In this case, we created WOVO for that. It's an industry trade association that not only puts people into an organization, but encourages them to interact. And we have mentoring, we have a studio approval, a certification process. We try not to use that word certified because it gets us into legal trouble, but basically it's a studio approval process. And we also encourage. We have annual meetings. We've had 3 now, and we just encourage a lot of interplay between members, and we have discounts and perks from some of our industry partners for those members. And just in general, it's nice to know that you belong to something that takes a high road and a high view, and encourages ethics and best practices. We feel like there was a place for that in this community, and it turns out there was. We've got about 800 members now, and they're enthusiastic by the most part, and contribute and want to help, and we find that so we become this kind of this focus for the community to do good things.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you mentioned it before, but it seems a lot of voice actors are alone in a room a lot of times. So having an organization like that where you can meet other people who are alone in a room often is really helpful.
It is. And a lot of that takes place online. Obviously, we're not able to get together all the time in person, but there's chapters here and there. And those people like in Nashville or LA or Miami get together physically. But for the most part, we're an online, community, and we stay in touch that way. Yeah.
That's really cool. And so you've been a news anchor for what, 30 years, I think?
I think I started in TV in 81 or so. So yeah, about 35 years or so. Yeah.
So how has that, I've heard different stories from different people that it hurts to have a background in broadcasting, but I'm sure that it has a lot of benefits. So how, in your case, how has it helped you build a voiceover career, and how has that translated into voiceover?
It is. It's a mixed blessing, Joe. There are times when I have totally ignored mentioning that, and
Right.
there are other times when I've touted it. And especially for radio people who get chided for, puking into the mic and sounding like a broadcaster.
Right.
Well, it happens in TV too, because there is a certain cadence that you fall into in the news delivery, and it's a tough one to shirk. It's a tough one to drop, to be conversational, which is what everybody wants these days. So I'm not sure I've been totally successful in doing it, but I've taken a lot of coaching to try to get rid of that news cadence. So it's a blessing and a curse. I mean, there are some times when I'm a news anchor in Las Vegas at a top 40 market, and people are like, whoa, okay, well, he must be, dependable, communicative, there's a lot of things, reliability, a good business person. And then there's the other kind that says, oh, well, he's a news guy. I'm never going to hire him for my conversational spot. He'll never be able to do that. And so it's just, I've come to the point where I mention it if it comes up. If it doesn't, I don't necessarily mention it. If I think it'll help me, I'll mention it. I mean, it's just kind of a case-by-case basis.
So just out of curiosity, how do you get yourself in a different mindset right before being a news anchor and right before recording in the booth? How do you change in terms of your mindset?
So the news anchor thing is like, I've done it for so long, I don't have to think about it. So just, I know what my bosses want and what the viewers expect, and so I just do that because it's I've done it for so long. So the real challenge for me is the voiceover thing, because it's new and it's mine, and if I fail, then my business fails.
Right.
So I really applied myself with a lot of passion and immersion to try to mount that new challenge. And it's totally different than broadcasting. It's even though a lot of those products that you voice end up in TV or radio, it's not the same. It's just different, and you have to apply all different techniques. Yeah,
I've been wondering kind of what the difference would be between a broadcaster or news anchor and a voice actor, because the bulk of the jobs that I've gotten so far as I'm beginning my voiceover career are e-learning jobs. So it's kind of it's not a boring tone, but it's kind of it's not very enthusiastic like a commercial or something like that. So I've been wondering how similar those are, and what do you think about doing e-learning jobs?
They're the most similar, I think, to news, because you're right. It's more of a neutral delivery.
Yeah.
Many of your e-learning clients will expect you to be kind of flat and neutral and just business-like. But I'm finding even within e-learning, and it's one of my bread and butter jobs too, is that I get clients that write back and say, don't be so robotic.
Yeah.
Put a little inflection in, add a little pace. So even in e-learning, you're expected to be a human being.
Right. Yeah.
But there are plenty of times where, especially with medical and technical narrations, you just need to be able to deliver the words because they're that difficult. So I think e-learning comes the closest to a news broadcast delivery.
Mm-hmm.
There are still plenty of jobs in VO for announcers, car dealership ads.
Oh, yeah.
Promo spots tend to verge into an announcery type of thing. So there's still plenty of that. But as far as the commercial copy that's out there these days, I mean, almost all the auditions I get, they specify not announcery, no announcer.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that because I'm working on a project for a university, and it's an e-learning project. And I'm always thinking in my head, should I put a little energy into this or should I do it flat? So it's hard to find that balance.
It's, you really ought to ask. I mean, it doesn't hurt. They'll tell you. Most times they'll tell you. Now, although they do depend on the talent to interpret it on their own and do their best. Sometimes they have pretty strong feelings about how they'd like it. Or it might even be good to record a couple of paragraphs and then send it to them. Say, is this close to what you want?
Yeah.
And they'll tell you, no, it's too stodgy, or we need more personality in it, or be more conversational. Or that comes into e-learning too sometimes. So
yeah, and I think it makes a difference when a voice actor has a personality with that audio, because when I was in college, I worked at Home Depot. So I had to do a lot of in-home or in-house training, and I would sit there and sometimes it would be terrible, but some other times it would be like an engaging voice, and I would actually pay attention. So it helps if you're thinking about who's actually going to be watching this and trying to get them interested a little bit.
Target audience is a huge part of formulating your best delivery. Yeah.
Right. And so I mentioned before, but you are a prolific blogger and writer. So I'm doing a little bit of blogging myself on my website. So I would love to get your opinion on how, do you use blogging as a marketing tool or just to kind of get your thoughts out there to the voiceover community? How do you think it has helped your business?
So, a little bit of all of that. I started blogging because I thought it would help me reach out to my fellow voice actors and to clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's turned out not so much to be the clients, but it has created for me a tremendous amount of goodwill. I put a lot of goodwill in the bank by just continually blogging helpful information, links and suggestions and observations, my experiences. And the other part of it, Joe, has been it's been a kind of a chronicle for me. It's been a journal for me to talk about my walk in voice acting. And I can always go back to my blogs. I know exactly what search terms to use to find that little bit of a factoid that I wrote about, and I need to refer back to it. It's kind of like, my journal. I've got it right there at my fingertips. And it is also the center of my social media universe. So when I'm on Instagram or when I'm on Facebook or when I'm on Twitter, I'm constantly linking back to my blog because I want people to go there because that's where my demos are. So
Right. Yeah, and so I noticed that it seems I've done not so many interviews so far, but any interview that I'm doing, when I'm researching someone, your name seems to pop up. So I did a social media interview with Rose Chiazzo the other week, and your name kept popping up. I did an interview with Armin Hierstetter for Beloved.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
Your name popped up. So it's just, it's really cool to finally talk to you because I've seen your blog really working in terms of marketing.
See, it is working.
Yeah, anything I search for, you come up. So you've been helpful along the way.
Well, like I said, I think paying it forward, pays it back. And I don't do it for that reason. I do it because it's its own reward. And it's turned out to be that way. So,
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your book. You have a book, More Than Just a Voice. So what was you write a lot, obviously. So you're used to writing great content. So what was your goal with releasing that book?
Right. So the genesis of it, the thought behind it was that I was getting calls once, twice a week, and you've probably gotten them too already, from a guy who's got incredible pipes. Hi, my name's Bob, and I'm a plumber, but I've been told by all my friends and my family that I should be in voice acting. And you get that question, you go, how do I get around to telling this person that a great voice is fantastic, but it's only going to get you 10 to 15% of the way to your goal. And what I wanted to say was it's all about business and being a good business person and a good marketer. And so the title of the book kind of turned out to be, it's more than just a voice.
Yeah.
And because I had written so many blogs by that time, this was in 2014, I think I published the book. I had written so many blogs, I hired a virtual assistant to kind of collate all that into the best articles into a book.
Oh, okay.
So really, I had already written the book. And she was kind of surprised because she works with a lot of authors and she's a ghostwriter. And she said, most people they say they want to write a book and they haven't done a thing. She goes, you've already written it. All I got to do is put it together and edit it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. It's the book is really a compilation of all my best blog articles. And I'm already working on the next version and the next edition of it because I've been writing since then, So.
Yeah. And that really is great that you have that product because I think when I was looking at the possibility, I've always played with voices as a kid. And
Me too.
But I never realized until a few years ago that I could actually make it a career. But when I started researching, it was always, do you sound like Morgan Freeman? Do you sound like Don LaFontaine? If not, maybe this isn't for you. But then I'm realizing the more I research, your name kept coming up, Bill DeWeese's name kept coming up about having kind of a natural everyday voice. And that's really marketable.
You bet.
It's really helpful because I think that so far for me, it's been just getting my name out there and talking to people, and it's been really helpful.
Yeah, the book has been good for me too in that way, and I'm glad I'm not going to make my costs back on it. It cost me about probably $7,000 to self-publish it.
Oh wow, okay.
And I've probably come a good bit of the way to recovering, but that was never I never expected to recover my costs. I did it because I wanted to attain the authority of having been a published author, as kind of an expert status. And also because I knew it would help people. And it's all in my blog if you search for it, but I've already done that work for you. I've already separated the wheat from the chaff and given you the best stuff in the book. And then I went ahead and narrated it too and made it an audiobook, and that's selling pretty well as well. I didn't think it would, but
oh,
yeah.
So you narrated. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think I blog because I like to write, and I think it's helpful to write about what I'm doing, but do you think everyone should be doing some form of blogging or videos about their business to market, or just
I would say the best benefit of blogging for me has been it's taught me a lot of discipline.
okay.
I like writing, and I prefer writing to podcasts or even videos, because videos and podcasts tend to be heavy with personality of the hosts, and
Right.
they tend to like to talk and hear themselves talk.
Yeah.
And so and there's no way to scan that. You can't scan through a
Yeah,
podcast.
true.
You have to listen to the whole thing. Whereas writing, we all know we can scan for what we want and get the factoids we need out of a good written article. So, I like being able to write because it's given me a discipline. Now, I also write a lot about how video is the hot thing. And I mean, I'm in TV, I know this, and video is it's the big thing. And I'm going to try to do more of that. You mentioned Bill DeWeese, who's an expert at delivering those offhand ad-libbed 5 to 10 minute videos. And they're great. He's very comfortable. It's very comfortable to watch him. And I would like to start doing more of that, because I think I can. I'm in front of the camera most of the time. I think I can do that.
So before we go, where can people reach out to you or get in contact with you if they want to ask you a question or just see what you're doing?
Sure. So first, I'd like to make a plug for World Voices. It's world-voices.org. You can go there to world-voices.org and look at our site and get some answers and think about whether you'd like to join us. We have 2 membership levels. One's associate, and that can be an absolute newbie. And the other is a pro. We have a kind of a loosely defined criteria for that, of having worked several jobs within the last year at a reasonable rate. I mean, we vote on every member that we consider.
Okay.
So there's worldvoices.org. And then for me, I mean, I'm at Courvo. My last name is long, so I shortened it to Courvo. It's the first 6 letters of my last name, and it ends in VO, so that's convenient.
Convenient, yeah.
So Courvo.com is where my blog is, where my demos are. You can write me at Courvo@Courvo.com. That's the best way to reach me. As you said, Joe, I'm pretty much everywhere on the web. You can find me on Facebook forums and reach out. I'm happy to talk to people all the time. I mentor several people, and I feel like I said before, I've been helped along the way, and I think it behooves all of us to, return that.
Yeah, I think you're the only voice actor that I can think of that goes by a single name. Really cool.
Right, and I struggled with that at first with branding, and that's kind of a nickname that I've been given a long time, and I thought, well, why not? I mean, it's unique, and it seems to have worked for me. So
yeah, it works. Well, thank you so much, Dave.
Oh,
this has been really helpful.
Good.
And I'll link all of that stuff below. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
Joe, it's been great. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you'll give me a shout if I can do anything for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.